If you wait until Labor Day to plant perennials, you've already missed the window that matters most. Last weekend, I walked through a neighbor's backyard that looked incredible in June and completely hollow by August. Not because anything died, because nothing new went in the ground when the soil still had enough warmth left to build real roots. That's the mistake almost nobody catches until it's too late. Meanwhile, a few streets over, another gardener planted the exact same week in August, and by next spring, her beds will look 2 years ahead of everyone else's. Here's what almost nobody tells you. August soil is still holding summer heat, but the air is starting to cool, and that combination is exactly what certain root systems need to establish fast, without the stress of July's peak heat. Most people think planting season ends when the flowers start fading. It doesn't. For a specific group of perennials, late summer is the best planting window of the entire year, better than spring, because these roots get months of quiet underground growth before the ground freezes. Today, I'm giving you 11 perennials you'll regret not planting this August, the mistakes that quietly kill them before October, and exactly how deep, how often, and how far apart to plant each one. Stay with me, because the 9th plant on this list can outlive the person who planted it by decades. And the last plant on this list is often planted completely wrong by garden centers themselves. Drop your USDA zone in the comments right now. 2 of these plants behave completely differently depending on whether you're in zone 4 or zone 8. And I want to give you the right answer, not a generic one. I read every single comment. Before the list, 3 quick rules. Rule 1, water. Deep and infrequent beats light and daily, every single time. A quick sprinkle trains roots to stay near the surface, and shallow roots don't survive winter. Rule 2, mulch. 2 to 3 inches around the base, never piled against the crown or stem. Mulch against the crown traps moisture and invites rot before winter even arrives. Rule 3, fertilizer. Skip the nitrogen-heavy feeds this late in the season. Nitrogen pushes soft, new leaf growth that has 0 time to harden off before frost. What these plants need in August is root development, not top growth. Get these 3 right, and everything below has a real shot at surviving its first winter. Number 1, peony, Paeonia lactiflora. Most gardeners try to plant peonies in spring, and most of those peonies sulk for 2 or 3 years doing almost nothing. Peonies planted in spring are fighting to grow leaves and flowers at the same time their roots are supposed to be establishing, and something always loses. Peonies planted in August skip that competition entirely. The roots get all fall to spread before a single leaf is asked to appear. The single mistake that ruins more peonies than anything else is planting depth. Bury the eyes, the pink buds at the top of the root, more than 2 inches deep, and you can wait 5 years for a bloom that never comes. Plant those eyes exactly 1 to 2 inches below the soil surface, no deeper. Water deeply once a week until the ground freezes, and space plants 3 feet apart, since a mature peony gets wide fast. Garden centers still push old double-flowered varieties that flop over in rain and need staking every year. Ask for an Ito peony instead. A peony tree hybrid with sturdier stems that never need a single stake. One more thing almost nobody mentions. Peonies planted in August won't show much above ground until next spring, and that's normal. The lack of visible growth this fall is not a sign of failure. It's the plant doing exactly what it's supposed to do, quietly, underground, where you can't see it. Number 2, bearded iris, Iris germanica. If you've ever planted an iris rhizome and watched it slowly rot instead of grow, you planted it the way most nurseries tell you to. The tag is wrong. Bearded iris rhizomes need to breathe. Bury them completely under soil the way you would a bulb, and moisture collects around them until rot sets in, usually by the following spring, when you're wondering why nothing came up. The rhizome should sit right at the soil surface, with the top half exposed to air and sun. That exposure is what keeps it dry enough to resist the bacterial soft rot that kills more irises than any pest or disease combined. Plant in full sun, in soil that drains fast, spacing rhizomes 12 to 18 inches apart, with the fan of leaves pointing in the direction you want new growth to spread. August is the ideal window, because the rhizome establishes new roots while the soil is still warm, then blooms reliably the very next spring instead of skipping a year. If you're working with heavy clay, raise the planting area a few inches above grade with compost mixed in, because standing water around an exposed rhizome undoes every bit of the drainage advantage you just created. Hardy in USDA zones 3 through 9. Every like on this video shows it to another gardener about to make the exact same rhizome burying mistake. So if this is helping, tap it before we continue. Number 3. Daylily, Hemerocallis. Daylilies are one of the few perennials that genuinely don't care when you plant them, which is exactly why so many gardeners plant them at the worst possible time and still assume that's normal. August happens to be one of the best windows because daylilies planted now push out a full flush of new roots before frost, meaning next June's bloom count is noticeably higher than a plant installed in spring. The mistake almost everyone makes is planting the crown, the point where roots meet leaves, too deep. Set that crown exactly at soil level, spread the fleshy roots out like fingers in the planting hole rather than balling them up, and water deeply twice a week for the first month. Space plants 18 to 24 inches apart because a healthy daylily doubles in size within 2 years. Big box stores still sell older varieties that only bloom for 2 or 3 weeks. Ask for a reblooming cultivar like Stella de Oro instead, which flowers from early summer straight through fall instead of putting on one short show and quitting. Feed lightly once at planting with a balanced, low-nitrogen fertilizer worked into the bottom of the hole, then leave it alone until spring. Hardy in USDA zones 3 through 10. Number 4. Hosta. Hostas are usually sold as a shade plant for people who've given up on that dead zone under the trees, and that reputation undersells what's actually happening underground. A hosta's root system is doing almost all of its growing work in late summer and early fall, storing the energy that determines how large and how full the leaves come in next spring. Plant in August and that root system gets a running start most spring-planted hostas never get. The mistake that stunts more hostas than anything else is planting too shallow, leaving the crown exposed to dry out in the first hot stretch after transplant. Set the crown level with the surrounding soil, water deeply every 3 to 4 days for the first 2 weeks, and mulch 2 inches deep to hold consistent moisture while roots establish. Space smaller varieties 18 inches apart and giant varieties 3 feet apart, because an undersized hosta today can triple its footprint within 3 years. Big box stores frequently sell generic green varieties that slugs target first every single season. Ask for a thicker-leafed, blue-toned cultivar like blue mouse ears or halcyon instead, since thicker leaf tissue is naturally more resistant to slug damage. Hardy in USDA zones 3 through 9. Number 5. New England Aster, Symphyotrichum novae Angliae. This is the plant most gardeners overlook completely in August because nothing about it looks impressive yet, just a mound of green with no flowers in sight. That's exactly the point. Aster is saving all of its energy for a bloom that peaks in September and October, right when most of the garden has already given up for the year. Plant now, and you're giving the root system 2 full months to establish before that fall show even begins. The mistake that ruins asters most often is crowding them too close together, which traps humidity between the leaves and invites powdery mildew by late summer. Space plants 18 to 24 inches apart for airflow, plant in full sun, and pinch the stems back by a third in early July next year to keep the plant compact instead of leggy and floppy. Water deeply once a week until frost. Hardy in USDA zones 3 through 8. Number 6. Russian Sage, Perovskia atriplicifolia. Most people assume this plant needs rich soil because it looks so lush by midsummer. It's the opposite, and that single assumption kills more Russian sage than drought ever does. Rich, moist soil grows soft stems that flop over and rot at the base by the following spring. What this plant actually wants is soil so lean and fast-draining that most flowers would struggle in it. Its silvery, aromatic foliage is coated in fine hairs that reflect sunlight and reduce water loss, which is exactly why it thrives in conditions that punish less prepared perennials. Plant in full sun, in soil amended with sand or gravel if your yard runs heavy clay, and resist the urge to fertilize at all. Space plants 3 feet apart since a mature clump spreads wide within 2 seasons. Cut the entire plant back to 8 inches in early spring, never in fall, since the old woody stems help protect the crown through winter. Many nurseries still sell the older, taller, straight species that flops open in the center by its second year. Ask for a compact cultivar like denim and lace instead, bred to hold its shape without splaying across the path in front of it. Hardy in USDA zones 4 through 9. Number 7. Goldenrod, Solidago. If you've avoided goldenrod because you think it causes allergies, you've been blaming the wrong plant for decades. That's ragweed, which blooms at the same time but relies on wind for pollen. Goldenrod's pollen is heavy and sticky, built to travel on bees, not through the air into your sinuses. Once that misunderstanding clears up, goldenrod becomes one of the most valuable late-season pollinator plants you can add, feeding bees and butterflies stocking up before the first frost. The mistake most gardeners make is planting an aggressive, wild-collected variety that takes over a bed within 2 years. Choose a clump-forming cultivar like Fireworks instead of wild roadside goldenrod. Plant in full sun and average soil, and space plants 2 feet apart. Water weekly until established, then largely ignore it. Hardy in USDA zones 3 through 9. If you know someone who let their garden go quiet by mid-August, send them this video now, because the next plant proves that a shady, forgotten corner can still put on the biggest show of the entire year. Number 8. Japanese Anemone, Anemone hupahensis. Most perennials are winding down by September. This one is just getting started, and that timing alone makes it worth an August planting, even though it won't bloom until next fall. The mistake gardeners make constantly is planting it in full sun and dry soil, treating it like a typical sun-loving perennial. Japanese anemone actually prefers partial shade and consistently moist, well-drained soil, conditions closer to a woodland edge than an open border. Give it too much sun without enough water, and the leaves scorch by midsummer every year after that. Plant in dappled shade, water deeply twice a week while roots establish through fall, and space plants 18 inches apart since established clumps spread by underground rhizomes and will fill in fast, sometimes faster than gardeners expect from a plant that looked so modest at planting time. Give it room away from smaller, delicate neighbors that could get crowded out within a few seasons. Hardy in USDA zones 4 through 8. Number 9. Peony's quieter cousin in longevity, but this one earns its own spot. Siberian iris, Iris siberica. Plant this correctly and there's a real chance it outlives the person who planted it. Unlike bearded iris, Siberian iris rhizomes actually want to be planted with soil covering them completely, about 1 inch deep, the opposite rule from its bearded cousin, which is exactly why so many gardeners plant one type using the other's instructions and wonder why nothing comes up right. It tolerates wetter soil than almost any other iris, making it the right choice for that spot near a downspout where everything else struggles. Plant in full sun to light shade, space clumps 2 feet apart, and water deeply weekly until frost. Left undisturbed, a single Siberian iris clump can keep blooming reliably for 25 years or more without ever needing to be divided. Hardy in USDA zones 3 through 9. Number 10. Turtlehead, Chelone. Almost nobody plants this one, which is a shame because it solves a problem most gardeners assume has no solution: color in a consistently damp, partly shaded spot where most flowering perennials simply rot. Turtlehead's fibrous root system is built for moist soil, and it actually performs worse in dry conditions than in soggy ones, the reverse of most perennials on this list. Plant near a downspout, a low spot in the yard, or the edge of a rain garden, in partial shade to full sun, and water deeply if that spot ever dries out during a hot stretch. Space plants 18 inches apart and expect snapdragon-like pink or white flowers by late summer next year that give pollinators, especially bumblebees, strong enough to pry the flower open, one of their last strong nectar sources before frost. Hardy in USDA zones 3 through 8. Number 11. Shasta daisy, Leucanthemum superbum. This is the plant garden centers almost always plant wrong themselves, crowding a dozen small starts into one pot so the display looks full on the shelf. Buy it that way, and within a year, the center of the clump dies out while the edges keep spreading, leaving a bald ring of dead growth by its second summer. The real fix starts at planting. Divide that nursery pot into individual plants before you put anything in the ground, and space each one 12 to 18 inches apart, giving every crown enough room to spread outward instead of choking its neighbors from day one. Plant in full sun, in soil that drains well, and water deeply weekly until the ground cools for winter. Divide the entire clump again every 2 to 3 years going forward, whether it looks crowded yet or not, since Shasta daisies decline fast the moment the center gets shaded out by its own growth. Hardy in USDA zones 5 through 9. Here's your complete August planting checklist: Peony, bearded iris, Daylily, Hosta, New England aster, Russian sage, goldenrod, Japanese anemone, Siberian iris, turtlehead, and Shasta daisy. Before you head out to the garden center, remember the 3 rules that decide whether any of this actually works. Water deep, not often. Mulch away from the crown, never against it. And skip the fertilizer this late in the season. Because what these roots need right now is time underground, not a push of soft new growth that winter will only kill. Now I want to hear from you. Which one of these 11 perennials is going in your garden this week? And which mistake on this list have you made before without realizing it was the problem? Let me know both in the comments, along with your USDA zone. If you want practical, research-backed gardening advice that explains not just what to plant, but why it works, subscribe to Hidden Roots Garden. New videos every week. Until next time, get something in the ground before September closes this window for another year.